Yeah, what's cracking, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Prison Break Raw. I'm your host, the one and only Big Chef JD. Go ahead, give this channel a subscribe, share at least some messages or comments, hit that thumbs up for the like, hit that notification bell to be informed on all episodes when they drop. Most importantly, be sure to share this around to your family, your friends, your coworkers, anywhere and everywhere you can share it on your social media platform. Let's get this raw and uncut material out there to the millions that don't know we're here. Get the subscriber count up, get locked into that YouTube algorithm so that we become more widely suggested. So here it is. I'm going to be doing several videos over the next couple of weeks regarding my cooking skills. It's like I've mentioned to some of you before that I was a professional cook for a few years, and I've also been to culinary school, but I've also been involved in culinary arts pretty much my whole entire life. I had to learn how to cook. I had to learn how to cook in order to feed myself because both my parents were always working and neither one of my sisters really knew how to cook all that well. So I basically was blessed with the gift that a lot of people in my family have had, and I utilized it in my professional career for some time, and now I do it just for family and friends and to basically for myself. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be teaching you various different prison cuisine dishes. The kind of things that you haven't really seen. I mean, you've seen a lot of top ramens. You've seen a lot of pizzas and stuff like that. I'm going to be showing you some other things that you probably have never seen before. Certain kind of ways to make pasta and how it's done. A certain kind of way to make a top ramen noodle that most people don't do, but it's one that I use, and it requires that you have a microwave. The state of California, the CDC, don't have microwaves, but the federal system does. So a lot of that stuff will be done through microwaves and various different ways like that. You're going to learn a system of a pizza that's going to knock your socks off. But this one right here, we are going to learn how to make prison biscuits and gravy, commonly referred to as SOS. Now, if you don't know how to make SOS, you're going to learn exactly how you could do it from scratch. Now, it's a lot easier to go to the store and get you like a little packet of McCormick already pre-made gravy mix. It's just dried gravy mix. You stir it up in some water, add whatever else you want to add to it, and then it becomes gravy. But we are going to go through how it is done in prison, because you don't get the little McCormick packs in prison. You get flour, and it's made from just pure scratch. So here we got the gold medal flour. That's very important. You can't do nothing without that cornstarch. Got to have that cornstarch in there. It just kicks it off and helps it to stick a lot faster. A lot of people use regular milk. I like to use buttermilk, and sometimes we're able to use buttermilk in the system when we're just cooking it for we're just preparing it for the cooks, but not for the general population. We do have access to certain buttermilk sometimes, and we will use it in order to make a better flavored SOS. Also, what you won't see in the SOS across the system, and this is a breakfast that's universal. Almost every system that I've ever been in has had some kind of an SOS in one form or the other. It was originally a military breakfast, and then it was brought into the prison system when people had left the military after the war and all that, and introduced it into the prison system because it's cheap, it grows in bulk, and it feeds a lot of people. It keeps people fed, and that's pretty much the whole entire gist of it. So like I said, you got your flour, your cornstarch, you got your buttermilk, and this is the one thing that I like to use. I just put a little bit in there as something. This is my own variation. I'm going to teach you how to do it. Can't use too much of it though. This is ranch dressing packet, dried ranch dressing packet, but it gives it that little bit of a southern flavor that you like. Of course, you can't do this without the ground beef. The ground beef is what's going to make it the SOS. You have gravy, and then you have shit on a shingle, which is, it basically, it kind of, in a lot of ways, looks like bird shit on a shingle, and that's why they call it that. So it has this beef in there, and you're going to see it firsthand. We're going to break this all the way down to you. You'll be making this shit in your kitchen in no time. All right, I got an onion. And I like to put some onions in mine when I'm making my personal one, so I'm going to show it to you. Usually when I would make it for the cooks or the free staff in the back of any kitchen or any food service culinary that I was in on the inside, I always had an onion on hand and a bell pepper. Because you put those two things in there, dice them real nice. We're going to saute both of them in a light oil, and we're going to incorporate them into the meat and stir it in there. At the same time, we're going to be bringing this gravy up to par. So stick around with me. We're going to get into this. Okay, so here we are. We're in the kitchen right here. You got your flour. You got your cornstarch. Your dip. Grab a couple other things over here. Got the buttermilk. And if you're the person that likes hot things, you got some sriracha on hand. It always comes in handy. Works for everything. But this would not be complete without the Mrs. Dash. I mean, the Mrs. Dash is an integral part of every prison that I've ever been in. You're going to need about, for each 2 cups of gravy, you're going to need about 3 tablespoons of this flour, followed by 2 cups of buttermilk. So this right here should give us a yield of about 4 servings. So there's like 4 servings in here. So there's 4 cups. So we're going to try to go for 4 servings of this gravy. I like having mine really meaty. So I might add both of these, but I might only need one for just a little amount of gravy. They're going to hit it with the cornstarch. All right. So we got everything like that. Like I said, we got an onion and we got a bell pepper. And I'm going to show you an interesting and fast way to dice this onion. And I'm also going to show you the professional way on how to dice up this bell pepper. Because a lot of people, they just cut things any old way. And it's not really even and level. But we're gonna do this the whole thing right. All right, so the proper way of cutting up your veggies to incorporate into your meal requires, of course, a nice sharp knife. We're gonna go get the steel is what it's called. It's called a steel. It's for honing. We're gonna get this one good and honed. All right. Feels good and sharp to me. You got your standard cutting board. Here's what you always want to do. You never want to keep your cutting board on the table by itself because it slides. So always practice safety with your cutting boards by laying down a towel. Doesn't have to be wet. It could be dry. Some people in the culinary world like to have it wet, but you see the difference? It doesn't slide at all. So we'll go ahead and start with the onion. You're going to want to cut it from this part right here, the stock. You're going to want to cut it straight from there. But first you're going to flatten it out so you give it a nice piece to sit on. And you're going to cut straight down into it like that. You're going to pull the skin off. All right, so there it is. And if you notice in the onion has these grooves. Like the pockets, it separates. It's basically the canals or whatever you want to call them. And you could decide how you want to dice your onions according to the grooves, or if you just want to, however big you want them. I like to have mine about small to medium dice. So this is how you're going to start this out. Go ahead and bring this in a little closer so that you can see that. All right, so you're going to start right here. You're going to want to hold your fist down like this. That way you are completely free from if this thing slips or anything like that, it slips straight out and it's not going to slip and cut into your hand. So you're going to want to put a certain amount of pressure on it. Start from the top. You're going to cut across. And you're going to do that maybe 1 or 2 more times. This one looks like it's only going to go 2. So put the onion back together. Then what you're going to do is you're going to put your fingers down like that in order to keep yourself from getting cut. So you're going to want to go straight down like this. Like I said, it's small to medium dice. Now that I have off to the races, I can go ahead and put my fingers back in there. Boom. All right. Now you just straight down. Bam. Bam. Look at that. Perfectly diced in just a matter of seconds. And guess what? No cry. No woman, no cry. Not crying at all. No tears whatsoever. Like, this is going to be enough onion for me. So I'm not going to need this other piece, but I can go ahead and put that in the refrigerator and save it for later. So now I got my onion. Got my onion ready. We're going to deal with this bell pepper right now. Get that sharpened up a little bit. All right, the bell pepper, almost the same concept as the onion. Basically, go down like that. But then here's what we're gonna do with the bell pepper, right? Then with that, we're just gonna spread it open. We're gonna pull this core out. You don't need that. That's straight caca. All right, now we're gonna pull these parts off right here because that's caca too. We don't need that. And see how I got my fingers? See how my fingers are? No possible chance of ever getting cut. Get this caca out of here. More caca. Real simple, real fast. Perfectly pieced, perfect sizes. No big old giant chunks, anything like that. And then we'll simply just separate these two right here. And we're gonna go ahead and same thing. We're gonna small dice this shit. And get it in there. The one thing I notice is I watch some other people on these, cooking prison cuisines and when they're cutting with these knives, and it almost makes me like wince because I see that like they're just like an inch away from cutting the fuck out of themselves. So for me, it's all about safety. Plus, not only that, but you can keep better control on it. You get the same size pieces every single time. You don't have all these weird different kinds of pieces and sizes all over the place. Perfect dicing, and you learn how to properly hold everything like this. You can hold on to it. It's not going to go anywhere. And then look, no way, shape, or form are you going to cut your fingers, right? Just keep yourself safe. Keep your blood out of the food, man. Take the possibility of like ruining what you are cooking. The first thing that we need to do is we have to make what's known as a roux. A roux is mixed with, you got your country crock, butter, whatever you use. Like an oil-based thing's gonna melt. You're gonna hit it with the flour. You're gonna stir it up. It's gonna make like a little, almost like a dough. A certain kind of a dough. That's gonna be your kicker. That's gonna kick off this SOS. I'm going to show you step by step on how to make this roux and to know what to look for before it's too late. Because you can burn a roux real fast and then it's worthless. It's going to throw the whole taste off. So I will show you when to stop with the roux. All right, so this one right here, of course, we're going to have to be using the phone. So see where we got our flame? Want to turn that bad boy down just a little bit more. It's about right there. So here we got our butter. This is going to be what we use to kick off our roux. And on top of that, we're just going to keep sprinkling this flour on top of it. And then we're going to be stirring that in until it makes like a paste. Almost like that's like our kicker. That's what we call the kicker. Look at it. See how it's already starting to take shape until it's taken form. And you don't want it to be dark. You don't want it to get burnt because then it's going to fuck up your whole cha-cha, man. It's going to make your whole thing be completely messed up. You want it to look almost like like cornmeal or something to that effect. So there it is. So we have our roux right here. As you can see, that's what it looks like. So we're gonna go ahead and turn this heat up a little bit more now. We're gonna take that off. We are going to take our buttermilk from over here. We're going to start incorporating that buttermilk into it with the flour. So let's go ahead and put like a splash of the buttermilk in there, just a little bit. Let's start feeding this flour in there. And all right, so we're getting it, it's going. Now it's like becoming too thick at all, so we're gonna have to keep, we're gonna go ahead and put this buttermilk, which is, this is 1 whole cup. We're gonna pour it all in there. Get this stirring around, get it going, get it rocking and rolling. Gonna hit it with the cornstarch. Nothing real too crazy. Nothing real crazy at all. Just get it in there, get it like, you'll know, you'll get a feel of it. So you're getting that, getting it in there like that. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab a whisk. I'm gonna hit it with the whisk because the whisk will mix it up a hell of a lot better than that roux spoon will. There we go, look at that. Look at how it's, see how it's getting that consistency? It's already starting to turn into gravy pretty much. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put the rest of that in there. And we're just gonna start splashing buttermilk into it. We're gonna splash it, splash it, splash it in there, splash it. There it goes. And go ahead and get it stirred up. It doesn't take long to get this stuff thick with this buttermilk. You know what I'm saying? Look at how thick it already is. Whole time we got the heat. We're gonna be putting this heat down a little bit lower because we don't want to burn this shit, you know what I mean? So there we go, we got this heat down. Got this all nice and incorporated in there. Now let's go ahead and start giving it this flavor, this added flavor. You got your Hidden Valley Ranch. Just throw that in there, it gives it a little bit of a green vibe for a split second when it's incorporating into there. As you can see, starting to turn like a lime green. But once you just get it all whipped in, it's perfectly fine. Now, we're gonna go ahead and get the Mrs. Dash seasoning in there. Boom. I like to have a lot of Mrs. Dash. Can't go wrong with Mrs. Dash. Get that in there. Look at how smooth that's already coming out. And this is 4 servings right here. 4 servings. 4 servings makes, you know, this proper amount of buttermilk along with as many 12 tablespoons of flour. And of course, the, you know, minus the roux that we made, we can continue to put the buttermilk in there depending on how long we want to make this last. And then we can also, you know, if we're feeling a little interested in that and giving it the salt kick, get the koshered salt in there as well. It's probably a lot of salt, but it'll, like I said. So now we're just gonna let that go. I'm gonna go ahead and taste it. It's still pretty watery. See how watery it is? Need some more Mrs. Dash. Probably has a little bit too much of that Hidden Valley in it. Just a little bit, but that's okay. The Mrs. Dash and even just some regular basic black powder, black pepper will, and also with some salt, will basically eat up some of that flavor. We'll pull it, we'll bring it back. You know what I mean? No chunks of any kind at all. So you want to get in there and really get it whipped around. You got to remember, when this stuff is prepared in prison, it's prepared in big, giant containers. Much more difficult to do than simply doing it in just a pan. So I'm gonna stick my finger in there. You see, these are the chunks we're talking about. You're not gonna completely get rid of that, but so that flavor is just right. So now I'm gonna turn up the heat until it's gonna start thickening up. You got your Blue Diamond pan. You get one of these. This is a saute pan, Blue Diamond. You can get that at Walmart. It's a fucking awesome pan, man, I gotta tell you. This is where we are gonna saute our veggies. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna use just some basic Crisco vegetable oil. I'm gonna throw it in there. Of course, you're gonna roll it around. The whole time I am preparing this oven for 400 degrees for the biscuits. Because you can't have this shit without biscuits, man. Alright, look at it. See how it's starting to thicken up now? We can even stir it a little bit more. Get it rocking and rolling. Look at that. It's thickening up. And best way to test it for its thickness, you just get any kind of a spoon and you just start pouring it until you know you got the desired thickness. I like putting a lot of pepper and a lot of Mrs. Dash in there, man, because once the meat goes in there, it's gonna completely change. So don't think that you're making like way too much of this shit, because you're not. All right, and go ahead and let that go for a little bit. All right, here we go. We're gonna be sauteing this. This onion and bell pepper now. We got a spat to do that with. Kind of keep it out there, keep it going. You know what I mean? Kind of hard to hold the phone and do this at the same time. My guy that was supposed to be the cameraman moved out of state on me, so I got to do all this shit all by myself. All right, look at how it's getting that color. Now we want to turn this heat down. Now we got it to where it's basically, that's gravy. That's straight gravy right there. We're getting that onion and bell pepper sauteed up pretty well, right? Let's take a look and see how thick it is now. Look at how thick that is now, right? Isn't that awesome? Perfect, man. So guess what? Your gravy is done. I mean, you could simply look at the thickness of it now. See that? See how thick it is? It's pretty damn hot. And the taste, it has kind of a sweet flavor because of the ranch. But once the onions and the bell peppers get in there with the beef, it's going to be a whole different ball game. Stick around. At the same use for meat. So let's go ahead, let's get this in here. Let's get this fire down. And that fire is like through the roof. Let's get this fire down. All right, let's get this meat, let's get these onions. Let's get all this stuff rolling. Meanwhile, we're stirring this as it sits inside of there. We're gonna go ahead and keep getting that stirred up so it doesn't completely stick. But you notice how none of it is burnt. That is perfect fucking gravy, Ma. That's perfect gravy, Paul. Look at that gravy. That's some really good gravy too. That Mrs. Dash will kick your shit off every single time. And I might have used a little bit too much of that Hidden Valley Ranch dips, Don't use too much. If anything, always just like throw sprinkles in it and keep doing it until it's at your desired taste. That's the best way to deal with that shit. Look at that meat. Like I said, I only used a pound and a half of ground beef for this right here. Oh no, I'll keep moving the camera all over the place. When you're shaking and you're gonna try to flip, always hold the pan as closest to, or always hold the handle as closest to the pan as possible so you can get that good flip. See how that goes? See how it just turns over? And you're not just throwing it everywhere. You know what I mean? Like how I did a little bit, little tiny bit, but it's always gonna happen, man. That's always gonna happen. Can't get away from making a mess in the kitchen. It's gonna be just straight meat. It's gonna be like more meat than gravy. So we're just gonna start pouring it in little by little until we get that just that desired look, consistency, feel, and everything. Now here we are bouncing around. Like I said, man, we've been bouncing around from the phone to the camera. You can see over there, you got that meat jumping off. You can hear it, I'm sure. It's in there with those sauteed onions and bell peppers. Now is the time to get these biscuits ready and rolling, because it's going to be about 15 minutes it's going to take for these things to get done. That'll be just enough time for all that to get taken care of. All right, you're going to see just what kind of mess we have created in this kitchen just making this little bit of SOS. Look at that shit as far as the eye could see, right? This right here, this is that ground beef grease I was telling you about. I'm going to go ahead and just pour a little bit of it in like that, just like that, right? And what it'll do is it'll bring it back to life because it's been sitting for a couple of minutes waiting on these biscuits that are now done. So look at that, right? See how it brings it back to life? We'll go ahead and give you the light to show you. Look at it. Perfect. Look at how it just, that's just straight gravy. The best kind of gravy you could possibly make. Then here we go. We got our ground beef with all our veggies in there. Just gonna dump it all in just like that. You could choose to, like, you know, put it in little at a time, or you could do like what I did and just throw it all in there and make it a meat lover's gravy. And it's thickening up. It's already getting like real thick. Look it. So then we'll do again. Absolutely. More of this ground beef grease to go in there. Didn't say that this was the most healthiest breakfast in the world, but what I did say is that it is definitely very filling and it is very cheap. It only costed me $18 to make all this gravy. And if you think you could sit here and eat all this gravy in one sitting, you're a bad motherfucker if you could do that. You know what I mean? 'Cause this shit is filling. It's like real filling. You may think that at first that it's not filling you up, and you'll be eating a shitload of it, and then guess what? Next thing you know, you won't be able to move. I'm trying to find my serving spoon so I could show you. So here's, you know, just a basic, that's like a serving of something right there, right? So you could see. So there's one serving. Look at how much is left. Look at how far down in that thing that it goes. And look at that stuff. Look how delicious that looks. Huh? That is prison SOS, man. I like to get my biscuits looking like that. Don't ask why. I guess, you know, in prison they've never been perfect. I got both of these. I got the biscuits lined up. There's 2 servings of biscuit right here. I don't know what the fuck, why these things aren't doing what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to, here we go. Need you to stay like, there we go. All right. Boom, my scoop of SOS slopped onto the plate. A little bit more, man, because I'm in control of the scoop now. And then what I'll do Just drizzle that sriracha over on top of it. And there it is. There's SOS with biscuits. How? It's chow time. Now you can see what I got going on right here. SOS. Biscuits, gravy. The only thing that's missing is the potatoes. But I got enough starch in this bread. They try to overkill starch in the system. We ain't gonna put no potatoes on this one. I mean, I guess I should have did potatoes to show you that part, but that's just, I'm not trying to fucking give you diabetes or nothing, man. I'm just trying to show you the basic. You don't even need the potatoes, man. This stands all by itself. Look at that. That was some bomb-ass SOS right there. Like I said, maybe a little bit too much of the ranch. Maybe a little bit too much, but not really that bad. You know? I know how to like fix it when that happens. Well, there it is. You learn how to make prison SOS. Fancy style prison SOS. The kind that the special few in the back, the kind we make for ourselves. You got it right here in Prison Break Raw. Prison SOS, prison biscuits and gravy. We'll fill you up. Not very healthy for you, but we'll fill you up. Tastes delicious. And now you know how to make it from the ground up. Prison Break Raw, uncut, uncensored, no holds barred, non-sugarcoated, not politically correct, all up in your face, slapping you with that bomb-ass prison food of reality. And I'm out.